Hundreds of women took to the streets of Osun State on Monday, all out to protest what they're calling harassment, intimidation, and the illegal treatment of citizens ahead of Saturday's election. The women, led by Osun State First Lady Titilola Adeleke, were seen carrying placards with messages saying, "We want ballots, not bullets. An election is not war." All of this making it clear that this election should be democratic and not deadly. Let's watch.
Let you know that we are eagerly waiting for Saturday to come. We only want to vote. We don't want violence. We don't want to fight. We don't want intimidation. Osun women are peace-loving people. We want arresting our people. Enough is enough. We want to vote. We want to vote. We don't want to fight. We are going to vote. Don't vote like a
Now, at the core of Monday's protests is a simple idea that's often lost in the midst of campaigning and politics, that elections come and go, but human lives cannot be replaced. Now, the women in this protest came with a number of demands, including an end to the intimidation of citizens on political grounds, impartial conduct by police and security officials, a credible investigation, and most importantly, free, fair, and transparent electoral processes. But speaking of the desire for a free and fair election, this protest in Osun comes as an Osun businesswoman identified as Alhaja Falilat Yusuf is causing a bit of a stir online, as she was seen in a viral video which surfaced on Monday giving out bags of rice to potential voters, explicitly telling them to cast their votes for the APC candidate, Bola Oyebamiji. Let's take a look.
Ìyàwó alájà wa Rufai Oseni àwọn ni wọ́n kó ráìsì kalẹ̀ àwọn wọ́n ní kí n fún yín ní ráìsì ẹyọ kọ̀ọ̀kan wọ́n ní kí n fún yín àwọn náà ń rí mi báyìí àwọn méjì méjì ní fún yín ẹgbà ó yẹ máa bọ́ mi lọ́kọ̀ kálí yín lọ́nà ẹdìbò fún mọ̀lẹ́wùdínà yìí bá mi tí o torí wọ́n fún ẹgbẹ́ mọ́ ọmọ rẹ̀ ò ní rédí àyè jẹ ní ẹjọ́ wa ti gba owó lọ́wọ́ wa tó gba oúnjẹ tí ó kẹ̀kẹ́ fún ọmọ rẹ̀ òkú sórí rẹ̀.
Now, people have been struck by how open she is with all of this. A quick scroll through her public TikTok profile shows a number of videos where she's seen wearing APC or AMBO clothing next to bags of branded election rice, calling on members of the public to vote for her candidate and her candidate only. And I'll take some reactions in a minute, but first, let me say good morning to this incredible panel who've been so busy this morning. Vimbai, so good to see you here, as always. Ayal, good morning. And Rufai, good morning. Rufai, I'll come to you on this first story. But first, Femi on X says, don't blame these rural, poverty-stricken people. There's almost nothing you can tell someone who is genuinely hungry that will make them reject food. The only language a hungry man understands is food is ready. They've been trapped in a cycle where poverty has been weaponized against them. It's truly heartbreaking. Then Scood says, if you see this and think any president will remove or eradicate the one weapon they have to keep winning the elections, then you must be joking. This is a clear reason why no one talks seriously about reducing poverty. It's always reforms, roads, other projects, while the root problem remains untouched. Keeping people poor makes them easier to control during elections. That's according to Scood. I mean, Rufai, this was maybe the #1 trending story in the last 24 hours.
He's correct.
What do you make of this?
He's correct. Scood is so correct. I must have to put a caveat out there. It's not only APC that does this. Let's not make it look like an APC thing because we got their footage. if we also be able to look at the Accord Party and look at other political parties there, they will do one level of inducement or the other. But this comes back to the question I asked Shawara. See, from 1960, it's been about the hegemony and the people below. In fact, let me dial back to even before 1960. Even if you read from the days of Victorian Lagos, Echero wrote a book called Victorian Lagos. The 1800s, the first people that met the British or the colonial masters, they were able to form an hegemony. And that's how every society functions. But what is poverty? Poverty, I'll define as passing over opportunities regularly. What has made the inequality gap so much is that those at the top strip off potentials for you to have opportunities for those below. And how do they do it? They do it by stealing state resource. Most of the politicians that get in there is just to be able to steal state resource. Most of them. Maybe you have a little percentage of those that truly want to work. And even that little percentage, when they get into power, then they are focused on the resource. Because now they're thinking of another term. And that's it. And that's why somebody did say, it's my turn. Second point is, when you look at this hegemony they've been able to build, how do you get a system to work where you have a middle arbiter that drags people out of poverty and makes opportunity commensurate?
Right.
Because if you make opportunity have some level of being commensurate, I mean, it's not just going to be equal, have some level of being commensurate, then you can use that to improve outcomes. So people can have better health outcomes, better education outcomes, better societal outcomes. Their kids can actually aspire and go to school and get an education and stuff. But they, especially in Nigeria, what they do is that they lock off that opportunity totally. They bring their own children. Can you count how many politicians that have brought their own children? Even somebody sent me a message at in Edo State. Look at Adeleke, brought his own family members into governance. All right? Osun State. Brought his own family member into governance. So they cut off that lower level. And as a child of a nobody, you never get anywhere. And that's why you see that people in the lower level are always looking for one big man to take them up or align it with one big man. We must build a society where we can cut it off. And how can we cut it off? The first step would be building institutions. Institutions like INEC. Institutions like the police that has been seen to be partisan in all of this. Institutions of governments. Then secondly, mass mobilization of the people to demand accountability.
Absolutely.
And that should be, because if we don't do that, Annie, we'll do this show 50 years from now, and this will still happen. I am sure when they did the first elections to herald new government in 1959 in this country, or when they did the first election in 1922-23, this kind of thing happened at that point in time. And it will definitely keep happening, except we change our paradigm.
Absolutely. And this cycle that we see, as Rufai said, is something that absolutely has to be broken. And in the midst of all of this, you have former Vice President Atiku Abubakar boldly declaring that the best Nigerians are in the African Democratic Congress, calling on the Osun electorate to vote en masse for the ADC candidate Najim Salam. Now, Atiku made these comments on Monday during the party's governorship campaign rally in Osogbo. Let's take a look.
APC, I can assure you, is different from APC, is different from Accord, is different from all other parties. Because the best of Nigerians are today in APC. The best of Nigerians are today in APC.
Everyone is in Osun State, apparently, and a Mordi on X said, "Stop all this foolery and call on all opposition parties to support Adeleke. You claim to be a political leader, but you can't read the room. Be reasonable for once. And that's someone essentially telling an ADC member to join the opposition so as not to split the electorate. But as we hear more from campaign surrogates in the lead up to Saturday's elections, the public is also getting an unprecedented revelation during these kinds of rallies. Now you have the ADC National Secretary and former Osun State Governor Rufai Oseni disclosing that he's never been intimate with any woman but his wife ever since they got married. Now, the former governor made these comments to a packed crowd while speaking at a campaign rally in Ejibo local government area over the weekend. Let's watch. I mean, Ayo, what an extraordinary campaign moment. Even though Arigbeshola was not at this rally to talk about his marriage or extramarital affairs, this is the moment that people online are talking about. It's what they're remembering. And by virtue of that, this has turned into quite the memorable campaign speech. But big picture, you know, take this together with what we heard from Atiku, essentially saying the best people are in the ADC. I mean, what are we supposed to make of what the opposition is essentially saying in Osun State right now?
Yeah, when you just started. This is just Osun
Just
State.
the beginning.
Please get ready to see and hear all kinds. Do you not bring up a video of a candidate buying corn, roasted boiled corn? Like, oh, we have not seen anything yet. We will hear all manner of things. We will see all manner of things. And so the context of that, I believe, was just talking about the fidelity and that when he makes a promise to God, he abides. That's Ogbeni Rufai Oseni, that when he makes a promise to God, he holds on to that promise, and so people can rely on that. And he used the fidelity in his marriage as proof, even though unfortunately we cannot empirically test that data. We can only rely on word of mouth. You know, we're scientists. You know what we do. So that's on the lighter side. But the truth is that it's based on his word, and maybe his wife.
Have you called his wife?
Have you done your investigation?
Do you know anybody?
Even the wife's testimony will not be scientific. We need empirical data to that effect. But that's on a lighter side.
Eyewitness accounts.
Yes. But for any man, and I saw many comments, that for any man to be able to stand up and beat his chest and say such a thing, that not many men. Let me ask all the men in this studio. I heard stories around, my colleagues at work behind the scenes saying, can you say such a thing? Can you boast of such a thing? So I put it to all the men who are watching this morning. Can you raise your hand on your chest and beat your chest and say it categorically that you have never done what Ogbeni has said? But that's not what people should be looking at. And I've said this before. Governor Adeleke has found his own strategy. It is dancing, part of it. Ogbeni has found his own strategy. It is fidelity with his wife. And so those who love marriages might see that as a point for them to vote for his candidate. By the way, he's not on the ballot. The candidate that's on the ballot is Dr. Najim Salam, like you mentioned. But Dr. Salam has said that he is working on continuing the legacy of Ogbeni Rufai Oseni in Osun State. And then for Atiku Abubakar, the strategy is the fact that they are best people in the ADC. Again, it's the people that will judge. And what we're just asking for is that beyond all these, theatrics, people should look for the substance. What is it that these men are bringing to the table? In a few minutes, we're going to have the opportunity to listen to each of the primary candidates in the Osun election, speak to their people in a town hall that Arise is hosting, and it will be shown live here from 11 a.m. I think it's an opportunity for people to listen. Yes. But when you say that, I say it to the pinch of salt, because let me now speak like Rufai this morning. Let me be real with you this morning. People don't care about what they're saying. It is what would come into but I don't agree with that.
Very good.
Because we must continue to push as media and as the press that people should listen.
Yes.
You cannot sacrifice your future, your prosperity levels on the altar of a few a naira here and there, a bag of rice that would finish before even the elections or before he's sworn in come November. So these are the things that people should look at. Don't let them bamboozle you. They will say all manner of things. Look at what their policies say, read their manifesto. Why did they come into politics? What do they have on offer? What are the alternative ideas for those who are in opposition? And let me just end by saying that Mr. Salihu Lukman was on the show earlier today. Until the opposition comes together, or until they come together, it's very doubtful the amount of impact they will make in the next elections, because a lot of it we're hearing is personal ambitions, ego, not really the people at the center of it all. I hope that we'll get to a stage in our electoral cycle where the people will be at the center of the discussion.
Don't let me deceive you. People
don't deceive me. I don't want to tell you.
People will not still listen. You see,
well,
the
that's
country
why we
has
speak
gone
every day.
bad.
Ayo, we should not be talking.
See, Ayo,
that's why we speak every day.
There was a time, Vimba, in this country, many years ago, that we read from history, that Nigeria's parliament, if you go and read the Hansas, people used to go to the parliament ground to go and listen to arguments.
So let's bring that back. No, it can come back. Yeah, thank you. It can come back.
Everybody want blow.
That's why we hold the
They've destroyed the societal fabric. People used to go and listen to arguments. Why? How do you think that St0rms became popular? Peculiar mess. St0rms is one of the brightest brains that went to GCI in Ibadan.
And really bright people.
Adelabu was an intellectual battlefield.
Very interesting.
People went to listen to arguments.
Fine.
But today,
listen to the argument. Don't mind.
Wait. Ordinary debate was a problem. Now people listen to arguments.
Okay, that was fascinating. Personally, I didn't know that, so thank you, Rufai, for that little history lesson. And as Ayel said, there's a lot of theatrics going on, a lot of, grandstanding that we're seeing in Osun State. So before we take our next story, let's all